guys, how you doing? It's Henry, Mowers and Blowers. It's a gloomy, cloudy day today. It's probably going to pour later on. How do you like this angle, huh? Pretty cool. Anyway, I got my light on here. I guess now I know what it's like to be on TV. Anyway, welcome to part 3 of my Frankentractor rebuild. You know, I got it as a carcass, you know. No seat, no battery box, no seat bracket. Blown engine, chucked it out. Put the gas tank back on. Got the engine running, but not too good. Got a starter. Had some issues with the starter. You know, I had to take 2 starters and make one good one, right? You guys saw the episode. Welded a muffler onto here. Almost burned my house down again. You know, I really got to be careful. Converted the wiring harness from a Tecumseh wiring harness to a Briggs harness. So now it meshes and works out. I don't think I'm going to have a deck for this because I'm missing a spring for this lever. The PTO lever is also a different one. Mine has 4 holes that go into the dash, where I think the stock one is just a couple of bolts on the bottom here of the frame. So, I don't know, I guess if I got a deck, I would try to make it work, you know. But other than that, they're my wheels. The 2 fronts are kind of low. They don't hold air too well, you know. Backs are okay. They got tubes in them. And I don't know. This is almost ready. Today, I'm going to adjust the valves. And if it doesn't run right after that, I think what I'm suspecting is that there's a lot of gas in the crankcase. So I'm going to do an oil change and put fresh oil in there, as well as adjust the valves. If it runs better that way, then we're good. If it doesn't, I'll have to try to swap out the Nikki Carb on here with another carb I might have. And if it still doesn't run right, I think maybe the valves are sticking, you know. But it does run, you know. Anyway, I have to leave now and sell that bushwhacker that I got from 5-Speed Ash to some nut who wants to buy it. I listed it for 65, but you know, maybe I'll just let him have it for 50, whatever, you know. Yesterday when I was picking up my daughter from soccer practice, she's on the JV high school soccer team. She's starting at mid-center. Anyway, on the way home, I saw this in somebody's trash. I believe it's a rototiller. I've never had a rototiller before. It looks like a weed whacker on wheels, doesn't it? Anyway, it's a Ryobi 31cc 410R. Now, I could see if this runs, right? Or I could just sell it as is for 25 bucks. People buy that stuff, you know. You got small engine nuts all over the place who say, "Ooh, I'll buy that for $25." You know. What do you guys think this is worth anyway, if it runs? It's kind of cool, but I don't really garden at all, and I don't really need to till anything because I got underground sprinklers. Just watch me trying to till my yard, and I completely sever all my sprinkler pipes. So I don't really have a need for this. Of course, there has been times where I go, "Oh, I wish I had a rototiller," you know. Now that I have a rototiller, I really don't need it. Anyway, I'll be back to start on that track. So I'm back from selling that bushwhacker. 65 bucks, just like that. Guy doesn't even want to haggle with me, you know. Doesn't even start it up for him. "Oh, that's great. Yeah, thanks. Here's $65 left." That's how easy it is, man. I didn't do a thing to it except put a little bit of silicone around the gas cap, for goodness sakes, you know. You know, as long as you know how to hustle, man, you can make some money for doing really nothing, you know. That's why America's so great. You can just pick up shit on the street and sell it for cash. So I was thinking on the drive over here, and maybe I should just change the oil first. Because honestly, yes, I am going to adjust the valves, but that's not really a priority because you don't hear any lifter problems, and it doesn't really have that much problem starting. But when it does start, there is quite a lot of smoke, and also it backfires a little. So I'm thinking you just need to change the Earl, you know? I'm going to do that. Let's check the Earl and I'll show you what I mean. So first of all, you lift it out and look, it's like man, it's like a third to add. So it's low on Earl. And it, you know what? It smells of gas, but you know, if it's so low, I don't think there's, you know, that much gas in it, you know, because usually if you have gas in it, it's way past full because the entire contents of the gas tank probably dripped in there, but you know what, it doesn't, you know, and the Earl seems like the viscosity is okay, so I don't, even though it smells like gas, I mean, there's probably a little bit in there, but it's oily, you know what I mean, so, and it's not even that bad, so maybe I'll just add some Earl. Forget about making that mess, you know what I mean, adding some Earl, and then I'll do the valves. So I go meet up people at this local church that's like 3 blocks away from me. It's got a large parking lot. It's wide open like that. So it's a nice, safe place to meet, you know, people to sell your stuff. Whoops, son of a gun. And so the groundskeeper over there sees me there all the time because he sees me selling things. So the groundskeeper, he doesn't speak English all that well. But, man, today he saw me. He was riding one of those Ferris zero-turn lawn mowers, right? Pulling a trailer with a Echo leaf blower in it. I mean, that Ferris zero-turn's got to be like 20 grand or something. I think it was a beast, man. A complete beast. I thought about asking him if I could take a ride around the you know, parking lot with it, but I didn't bring my camera, so I couldn't videotape all that stuff. And then, you know, I would have him videotape me riding it around, but knowing the way he seemed, probably would have erased every piece of video I had on there, you know what I mean? I'm going to add a little bit more of some SAE30 from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. Another fresh container of Lucas Oil. And, I don't know, being the way it is, I don't anticipate me working on too many summer equipment because winter is around the corner and I'll be probably using a lot of 5W30 for my snow machines now, you know. While selling things, you guys run into a lot of flaky people too. Like I've had a bunch of bites on my snow blowers and stuff, and you know, they either just don't contact you anymore, or you give them a time and they don't show up, you know. But those are the bad parts of buying and selling, you know. It's part of the hustle, you know. So you in the beginning, you know, you get frustrated and upset, and now it's just like second nature. No big deal. You understand because, you know, there is a percentage of people who don't show up. They're very flaky, you know. Just won't do it. But anyway, I don't know if this is going to help any from the way it runs and stuff, but you know what? I'm just going to crank it up and give it a try. See, fuel shut off. Choke. I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, it surges a lot from the carburetor, you know, so that's a carburetor issue, right? But let's, I have a feeling maybe it has something to do with the valve, so I'm going to take that valve cover off and see what we find. 4 3/8 bolts that hold the valve cover together. Still kind of hot from it running before. Warm. I was just going to say I should put a rag there. I think I might need more than that. No? Okay. I hope the gasket's going to be okay. If not, we're going to have to RTV it when we put it back. But sometimes these things just pop off and no big deal. And holy cow, there's a lot of oil there, man. Dripping. Honestly, that's the most oil I've ever seen in a valve cover. I'm going to remove the spark plug wire. And I want to remove the spark plug. Because we want to get it to top dead center so we can measure the air gap between the valves. This is the first time I'm removing the spark plug too. Don't know what the condition is. It's not coming off easily, which means it hasn't been removed in a while. And there's some rust buildup there, you know, that it's not a smooth turn. So there's a lot of carbon buildup, but honestly not terrible. It's not oily. It's just black over here, but it's not oily. You know, not oily on the inside. Just some carbon buildup. So I'm going to stick a screwdriver into the spark plug hole. I'm going to rotate this, the flywheel. Right there is about top dead center. See? It's okay. It's not too much out of whack, you know? Let's measure. So, bottom one is aluminum, as you can see. Top one is steel, right? So the aluminum should be the exhaust. No? This is the exhaust right there. So the exhaust is the steel one. The intake one. Yep, this is the intake right here. So the intake is 4 1/1000ths. The exhaust is 6. Okay, so the intake. Okay, this is the intake. It's pretty good at 4. I mean, a little bit, you know, it could be tightened a little, you know, but it's not bad. 6 on the exhaust. That's pretty good too. Honestly, this is really good. It's rare that you find it, you know, pretty good. So that leads me to believe that our issue is carburetor, you know? It's good, man. Doesn't really need any adjusting. It's good. I wish it was out of whack, because if it was out of whack, I would say, oh, yeah, that was the problem. But now, you know, I'm back to square one again. It's still going to run like crap. Unfortunately, the guy that had this on here had some original gasket and some RTV. So when he took it off to do the valves, he did a good job on the valves. He didn't do it right because the gasket, the original gasket is still on here, right? But it was broken off into some pieces over here. So he just filled in that area with RTV silicone. I just peeled it off. So you know what? I actually have an extra gasket. So I'm going to scrape all this crap off and get a new gasket. So, ask me how annoyed I am. Hey Henry, how annoyed are you? Man, I'm glad you asked. I'm so annoyed because I know that I had 2 or 3 of these valve cover gaskets just sitting around, right? Because, you know, I didn't use them for my other rebuilds because the gasket was good. I'm tearing apart my whole garage looking for where did I put that damn gasket set, you know? So annoyed. So guess what? That's right. I'm going to have to RTV this now because I can't find the damn gasket. So just spent some time cleaning the valve cover around the edges with the razor blade. Using some brake cleaner from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. Spray it on a rag. Just go over the surface again. Make sure it's not greasy. It's got to be squeaky clean. Got to be cleaner than your ass. Wait a minute. Some of you guys may not have clean asses. I personally like to have clean ass because the thought of poo or dirty ass on your clean underwear just doesn't make me feel clean. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what I mean, man. It's nothing like a clean ass. Especially right after you poo. You gotta wash that ass. You know what I mean? So this valve cover actually has a little lip on it. See that? There's like a metal lip there. Which tells you that you actually have to make this... You see how it hardens in there so I can't get it out? So annoyed, man. I let it cure for about 10 minutes. Just so it's not all going to push out so bad. I'm not going to tighten this until I'm ready, and I know I'm going to forget too. I'm going to get a couple of carburetors to try. I've got like a brand new Nikki that I got a while ago. It didn't work well for my 17 horsepower one because maybe it was 17 horsepower. I'm a little worried about it because this is 16.5 horsepower, so that's kind of a lot too, right? So it may or may not work, but I'm going to try it. I also have a Walboro one too that I'm going to try. I think they're both pretty clean. Because honestly, I don't know what else is wrong. you know? Can only be the carburetor. I mean, I guess it still could be the valves, but I don't want to take the head off. It's a pain in the ass. I'm going to first try the carburetor. 2 carburetors. If that doesn't work, then I'll take the head off. Put the spark plug back in, put the boot back on. I'm going to take apart the air box now and remove that carburetor. So I removed the old carburetor. Here it is right there. I also, when I removed the carburetor, I noticed that the guy had made a gasket over here. So this is the seal between the intake manifold and the carburetor. Well, that seal has to be very good. You know what I mean? There should not be any air at all. And so given the way this gasket was made, it's questionable whether or not it was a good seal, you know what I mean? So basically I just looked at my box of parts and I saw a brand new looking Chinese copied Nikki, right? That's what that is. It looks new, you know what I'm saying? I think I got it from Nick from Medford. He was throwing out a bunch of carburetors. I go, are you throwing that stuff out? He said, yeah, man, I don't want it. I said, all right, I'll take it. I took it. And this was already mounted onto the intake manifold, had a good O-ring in there. And I just put the other intake manifold, it's the same exact one, you know. And, well, you know what? I just plugged the fuel line back on, let it run, it's not leaking. It's a Chinese Nikki, okay? It's a copy. Choke, let's see. That you hear is that second level of the muffler that's loose. I told you, surging is always a carburetor problem. You change a carburetor, you got a good seal between the carburetor and the intake manifold, a good seal between the intake manifold and the engine block. You don't have a mixture of extra air, but losing air or getting extra air for the fuel mixture. So that's a tight seal, new carburetor that's supposedly clean. This is idle. Sounds great. That's high throttle. Smoke come out because of when we changed when we looked at the valve cover, all that oil came down. I want to let it burn out a little bit. This engine runs great. That's idle. I don't even have to mess with this screw. Sounds great. muffler sounds terrible though. High throttle. Charging at 13 volts. Very good. So it's been on low idle for about 5 minutes. It's burned off all that excess oil that's been around there. As you can see, my front two tires are very low. I'm going to pump that up. And then I'm going to see what I can do about a hood, you know? I don't know what I'm going to do about a hood. So I put some air in the front tires. Let's see how long they last. If it goes back down in less than a day, then I'll put a couple of tubes in there. I did find that old LT1000 Craftsman hood that I have. However, it doesn't have a nose. The nose of it that bolts onto that hood has the brackets that go onto the tractor. So right now I'm just holding it on with a bungee cord, you know, just to keep the water away from the engine, you know, when I park this outside. I can't park it outside right now because my Cub Cadet is blocking it. And as you guys know, I am waiting for a fuel pump for this thing. Once I get a fuel pump on this thing and it runs well, I'll get both of these tractors out of here. And then I'll have time to work on some other crap, like maybe this Ryobi 31cc 410R rototiller. Anyway, so that was my adventure today. Put a hood on this, changed the carburetor to a fake copied Chinese clone Nikki Carb setup. We looked at the valves but didn't need to adjust them because they were good. And after we changed that carburetor, man, sounds great. Runs fantastic. We also added some Earl to top it off. Some 10W with some SAE-30 from my friends over at Lucas Oil Products. So how about that, huh? This was just a frame. I put my wheels on it. Had no seat, no battery box, no battery. Has a good transmission though. Engine was blown. Put a new engine in there. Put a yucky muffler on there. It does have the snowplow on there, or the snowplow brackets, which is kind of cool. We worked out the wiring from a Tecumseh to a Briggs engine. It's pretty cool. I mean, I don't think I'll get much money for it, as is, you know what I'm saying? But it's a running machine, you know, and the engine itself is probably worth $200, $250 maybe, you know? So the whole thing I could probably sell it as is for $300, maybe, you know? For people who know what it is, you know, for people who need an engine for a blown up one, I mean, go look at engines. How much are engines, you know, that are running? They're expensive. I mean, I've seen them on Craigslist. $300, $400, $1,000 for the V-twin Kohlers, you know. I mean, those are crazy prices. I realize that, but we got a working engine here. It was fun to deal with. That starter thing threw me off a little bit. Just wanted to clarify because we had a little bit of a discussion on my comment section yesterday from yesterday's video. Here's the rule of thumb. At least this is how I understand it. Okay, so there's on the flywheel, there are cast iron flywheels with the teeth, and there are cast iron flywheels with an aluminum ring that's bolted onto the flywheel. The aluminum ring one requires a plastic ring gear on your starter. The cast iron steel one requires a metal ring gear. Yes, you may be able to get away with having a plastic one on a steel one, but it really isn't going to last. Because remember, the number of teeth are different. If you guys look it up, I believe the steel one is a 14 tooth and a plastic one is a 16 tooth. I may have gotten that mixed up. It could be 16, 14, 14, 16, but it's 14 or 16 to one of those. And this is what I understand. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but aluminum ring gear on the flywheel needs to have a plastic ring gear starter. A cast iron flywheel teeth flywheel needs a steel starter ring gear. And I mean, I've seen it a few times. You know, even my buddy Nick over in Medford said, "Hey Henry, my ring gear's all chewed up." I says, "Well, that's because you have a steel tooth flywheel. If you had the aluminum ring on there, then it would work. But because of that, it's so chewed up, you know. You may have one that works, but you're one of a few, you know. A lot of people don't know the difference. But anyway, just wanted to clear that up. If it works for you, hey, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But as a rule of thumb, I like to go with what the manufacturer tells you to do, you know, so you don't run into problems in the future. Anyway, see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Because I almost had a fire yesterday, I have to discharge this completely before I can fill it up again. And it's almost done, Steve. These fire extinguishers are great. It'll carry pressurized water for you in case you have an accident like I almost did yesterday. Well, I did have an accident, you know. Discharge everything in it so that it's not under any air pressure. I'm going to go into my house since I've already winterized my pipes and fill this up with some water and then pump it up with some air, and this is good to go for another impending accident. Filled this up with water. Tighten the nut down. You're a nut. As you can see, this is from 1988. So right now, if you look at the gauge, it's in the recharge area in the red. Just hand tighten it and then grip it and then turn it. There's a back nozzle here. I may have to turn on the air compressor a little bit more. It's not quite there. That's how you recharge a fire extinguisher. Hey guys, support my channel. Buy a sticker. Also follow me on Instagram at Mowers Blowers. Check out my website, mowersblowers.com. See you guys on my next project. Have a great day. Hey guys, Boba and I want to thank you for all the support of Mowers and Blowers. If you'd like, make a short video clip like these, and I'll put it as an outro in my future videos.
I'm Nate from Nate's Low Cost Yard Maintenance, and you're watching Mowers and Blowers, the best damn small engines channel on YouTube.